These self-centered Americans were talking about their American holidays, and I don't know what you're talking about. What is this Halloween nonsense?
Do
You
you guys
don't.
actually not have Halloween over there?
Like kinda like it's starting to pick up a little bit over the last like decade or two. But I mean, you don't see kids going around the street. You don't see all that. We didn't have a single kid like rock up looking for candy or anything. So
They
pretty American, yeah.
they must celebrate on like October 13th, just because everything's upside down there.
Oh, flipped. Yeah, yeah, that must be it. I must not have gotten the
Yeah,
memo.
you missed it this year. Sorry.
All right, enough Halloween talk. We have a billion cards to talk about, so let's just go ahead and dive on into that before this episode ends up taking 3 hours. We're gonna just go in alphabetical order. Let's talk about Demon Hunter. So Demon Hunter getting some spell slash Naga support. So again, Demon Hunter stealing other things from other classes, right? Stole Death Battles from Hunter, stealing Naga stuff from Mage. Let's just go in order here. Let's start with Oasis Outlaws. This is a 1-mana spell that says discover a Naga. If you've played a Naga while holding this, reduce its cost by 1. So I'm assuming it's reducing the cost of the Naga you discover and not the actual spell. I mean, this is just the next in the long, never-ending line of 1-mana discover a blank spells. That being said, Nagas are a lot smaller, of a pool than everything else in Wild. So does that change maybe how playable these are, which is usually not playable at all?
There are a lot of really bad Nagas still. Like I think that the Naga pool is ever expanding, and it's not like you can get a Spite Lash Siren or anything off of this. So I think this is potentially a card for Mage when they discover it off of like the Prismatic Elemental or something. But you can get some of the Mage class legendaries. I think that there are a lot of really bad Nagas is my concern here, and that's like.
Yeah, not great. I mean, there's obviously one particular synergy that it's kind of useful with, which we'll get to down the road, but kind of like as a standalone card, no, very, very bad.
Does this get a lot better when they unnerf all of those Nagas that got like Satheno and all that? And Predation?
No,
No?
no, it really doesn't. It really doesn't because like we've seen these effects and they're not good. like that needs to be like a pretty specific reason to be playing it. Like the Outcast one is pretty solid because Outcast cards are doing a little better and there's a lot of Outcast synergy. Nature Studies is barely a thing, which is kind of just like because it's double discounting on like Arcane Giants. But yeah, like Discover a Naga reduces cost by 1. I mean, without the class bonus, then it's just kind of not a playable card really.
Yeah. RIP class bonus, bring it back, Blizzard. Let's talk about some more of the Naga spell, Naga support. We have Parched Desperado, 2-mana 3/2 Naga. Battlecry, if you've cast a spell while holding this, give your hero +3 attack this turn. 2-mana 3/2 Naga, +3 attack. I mean, I don't really know that we're going to see a Naga deck in the WoW format, but for Standard and anything that wants to play Nagas, and Demon Hunter seems not bad. Also, Quest, question mark?
Yeah, I think this is just like, this is probably one of the higher end Nagas that you can generate, like off of a Discover effect like we just talked about. It's maybe not like top tier and maybe not something you want to be adding to your deck, but it's just like a fine card. It's similar to the Mage 2-mana Siren that like discovers a spell if you played a spell. Like that's just kind of a good, you run it if you need a Naga to fill out your deck, but that's about it.
Yeah, Desperado, like, super efficient, right? Like, 2-mana 3/2 compares really favorably to something like Defias Leper. Card's, like, super strong. I don't know, like, if we keep getting Naga cards, then great. But, I mean, it's, Demon Hunter's always, like, in the same zone as Death Knight, where it's hard for me to get super excited about cards that are even, like, standalone very, very strong, just because they're very, very pigeonholed in what they can do. Funnily enough, there's probably a third class at this point where I'm kind of feeling in the same boat, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, card's really, really strong. Like, just compare it to like Defias.
Yeah. Well, Defias Leper feels not great, even in something like Aggro Priest. I don't know.
I disagree. I disagree on that one.
I don't know what the stats say, but I'm never happy because maybe it's just because they never have the spell in hand.
Skill issue.
Yeah,
Skill issue.
Very true. All right, let's talk about one of the main reasons that you might want to be playing Nagas, at least in Standard, and that is Blind Eye Sharpshooter. 3-mana 1/5 Naga. after you play a Naga, deal 2 damage to a random enemy, and draw a spell. And then it switches, so then after you play a spell, it deals 2 damage to a random enemy, and then draws a Naga. Guys, I feel like we've seen this card before in a different class. Spitelash Siren 2.0, which means this card's going to get nerfed like 14 times like that card did. So,
it doesn't cheat mana though, so you can't like necessarily chain it quite in the same way that you could with the Spitelash Siren, right? So, I think it has some potential just as like a pretty decent payoff card, but I don't think it has the same, like, I don't know. There are two things that are a problem with Naga decks in Wild. First, the low quality Nagas. Second, like the issues of board space, and this one presents another issue in that like you're mana limited more than you are for Spitelash Siren. So, well, you can get 14 damage off of this card until your board is full, unless you start like killing off your own minions.
I mean, you can do more than 14, right? Because you get 2 damage for the Naga and then 2 damage for the spell. Right. So yeah. It can get like pretty much an OTK. There's kind of like things you can do where you can like preload, like obviously the synergy that I'm thinking about is questline, right? You preload the first quest stage with a whole bunch of discounts, and then you play this, you play out those discounted cards, you keep drawing, and then your quest will proc, and then those cards will go to 0, and then you just keep playing stuff, and you keep doing things until they die. I don't know. It's close. Like, it's kind of like a Luna and a Flamewaker in one card. It's just missing the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Now, is Questline a Sorcerer's Apprentice? Kinda. Like, you have Vicious, you have Mistake, like, you have these good 1-mana Nagas, which is what you're really looking for. You can even do cute things like Dispose of Evidence, so, like, you can draw a Naga, shuffle it back in, then get it back, and, like that can be a nice way to kind of, like, keep going if you start running out of Nagas and stuff, but probably not quite there yet. Like, very close, I think. I think it'll be a fun thing to try, but compared to just playing a whole bunch of Brutes and Wallopers and Mana Burn, one of those does seem stronger than the other.
just a little bit. All right, we have one more Naga synergistic card here in Load the Chamber. So it's a 3-mana Fel spell, so important for Jace. 3 mana, deal 2 damage. Your next Naga, Fel, and Weapon each cost 1 less. So a little bit of it feels like Siphon, what is the Siphon Mana kind of style of card where you want to play this on 3 in order to help prep your pop-off turns. Is this, I mean, playable in something like the spell Jace decks? No?
No, yeah, I think you really not only want but need to get like all 3 cost reductions for this to be worthwhile, and you're probably not running a Naga in your Jace deck, and you're probably not even running weapons in your Jace deck to like really ensure the Fel. So nah.
Yeah, I think it's real bad. Just like comparing it to things like even like palm reading or something. Like, this had to be 2 mana, right? This had to be 2 mana, so that way you could coin you could curve the Glaive Tar.
All right. And then we do have a legendary Naga, but it doesn't really have anything to do with kind of the Naga synergistic cards. It is a 3-mana 2/3 Battle Cry. Roll 2 dice, then discover 2 cards of those cost. If you roll doubles, you get an extra discover. So this is Snake Eyes. So essentially, kind of just does what the card says. You'll roll 2 dice, and then if you roll like a 1 and a 2, you discover a random 1 card. Not a random, I guess you're discovering. You discover a 1-cost card, discover a 2-cost card. Whole caveat of, we play Wild, discovering random cards from the entire pool of 1-drops does not seem super great. Also, value in Wild in 2023. So as cool as this card kind of seems, kind of rolling dice in Hearthstone, don't think it's ever going to see play outside of like, for fun builds of Reno Demon Hunter.
I was gonna say it could be fun in like a Reno Demon Hunter, but like even a Reno Demon Hunter, I think wants to play pretty close to like a Reno Hunter where it just wants to get them, and this card does not get them.
Yeah, Snake Eyes seems pretty bad. Rolling expensive discovers seems bad. and about half the time you're gonna get expensive discoveries.
I mean, rolling low cost discoveries also seems bad though.
Yeah, discovering trash 1-drops from the history of Hearthstone does not seem like what I want with this card.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sorry, I got nothing.
Good talk. Yeah. All right, so let's pivot back. Let's go to Bartendo bot. We've got a 2-mana 3/1 mech, battle cry, draw an outcast card, and slide it to the left side of your hand. So it immediately puts it in an outcast position. This seems really, really good in something like Quest Demon Hunter. You could even potentially pare down the specific outcast cards that you are playing, so that you're kind of guaranteed to hit some of the good stuff. So I don't know. Am I wrong in thinking about this as just being playable in Questline Demon Hunter, or just being playable in general, like outside of that?
No, I think it's reasonable, like for two reasons. First of all, we've seen a card do something very similar that saw play in Double Jump, and it was like a good card. Yes, it costs 1 mana less, but you do get a body edge associated with this. Another important aspect of this, compared to something like Illidari Studies or even Double Jump, is that you play it on curve without any concern for like outcast positioning, because it goes to the left, it remains in the outcast positioning. So you can just like tempo this out at any point where you don't have like this awkward, like, do I float mana or do I and hold this so that I can like ensure it gets outcast, or do I play it now so that I can use all my mana, because using mana is good. So it seems like it has the potential to be quite good in those types of decks, just because of that reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think players in general probably overrate like this kind of stat line on draw a card for 2 mana. Like they're usually not as good as you would expect, but I mean, this one's still solid. Like there's a lot of benefit to putting the outcast cards on the on the left side of the hand. So yeah, like better than obviously like Star Scryer or something, and probably better than, I don't know, the aggressive stat line I also really like in Demon Hunter in particular. So yeah, very, very solid card, I think.
Yeah, agree with you guys. All right, next up we have Pocket Sand, which is next in the line of 2-mana deal 3s. 2-mana deal 3 quick draw. Your opponent's next card costs 1 more. So a reminder about quick draw: this is if you play it the turn that it enters your hand, so draw on or discover or anything like that. Will enable the quick draw. So 2-mana deal 3, slight tax on your opponent's next card. I mean, I no fell tag, no nothing, just a normal spell. I don't know. Is Demon Hunter fiending for like a 2-mana deal 3? I feel like we've kind of reached the point where like every class has these, but nobody really wants them.
Nobody wants them unless they do something more than what this does. Like Demon Hunter already has 0 mana draw or deal 3 for like hyper aggro, and so like this finding a home, I guess, is my concern. Like, where does it go? It already has a 1 mana deal 3 and the Eye Beam as well. Like it has the capacity to deal 3 quite efficiently already. Obviously this can go face and Eye Beam can't, but like.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think the home is probably that like spell DH burn archetype, which has never existed in Wild. So like maybe if there are a ton of rebirths or something, but yeah. I mean that's the point, right? It goes face, and so maybe if there's a face deck.
Yeah, I think we might be getting closer and closer to that spell Demon Hunter deck on rotation being more real. Now, does this card fit in that deck? We have Fan the Hammer, 4 mana spell, no spell tag or anything like that, unfortunately. But it does deal 6 damage split among the lowest health enemies. So a little bit more expensive for like Dark Skies or one of those effects in Warlock. We haven't really seen one of those in Demon Hunter. No lifesteal, no fell tag. It is 4 mana, deal 6 though. I'm not super excited about it.
Goes face, right? But like I guess
it goes face like super late game, right? When they're
right, like
low.
it goes face at the weird time. So I don't think a lack of damage is what's hurting that deck. I think it's, or at least not a lack of damage at 4 mana and above.
Um, I mean, I don't like Cinderstorm. I don't love this card. I think that's about as simple as I can put it.
Yeah, I would have really loved to have seen like a fell tag or something on this for Jace purposes. I don't know how broken that would have been, but yeah, this card's just not exciting. Midnight Wolf, 6 mana, 6/6 beast with rush. Outcast, summon a copy of this. I mean, that's basically like 2 Alpers for 1 card, except you just have to ignore the whole 6 mana thing.
Good talk.
All right, cool. Now let's talk about the sweetest card in Demon Hunter, and that is Gunslinger Kurtrus. So this is the Reno Demon Hunter payoff for this set. 5 mana, 4/6 legendary. Battlecry. If your deck has no duplicates, fire 6 random 2 damage shots at minions in the enemy's hand. So I'm going to just go ahead and say you guys need to pause this video and go watch the animation of this card if you guys haven't seen it already, because it's really sweet. And then just to kind of clarify the text, so like if I have a Click Clocker in my hand, I have a 1/1 Divine Shield. If it eats a 2 damage shot, it is dead. It gets destroyed. You don't have to worry about Divine Shield. If you hit like a Nerubian Egg, that Death Rattle's not going to proc. The Nerubian Egg is just dead. If you have like an Acolyte of Pain, it'll eat 2 of the shots, and then the opponent won't draw any cards. So no text on the cards in their hand. The minions will just die. So I mean, this seems sweet. This is like Mutanus and Dirty Rat kind of on steroids. It feels like for a Highlander deck. So I'm excited about this card. It seems sweet. Does the whole Tech W thing that people in Wild seem to love, alongside being the whole Reno thing that people seem to love. So
Very important for the Reno thing that people seem to love. It's brandable. It's Zola-able. Like,
oh god,
you can really you can get some additional value off of this. So yeah, I mean, it's a good card. It's not like, again, super in line with what the successful Reno Demon Hunters have done in the past, but I think it's a high enough quality card that like you play it, right? It deals with potentially deals with a or some amount of threat before the opponent ever gets to play it, right? It just kind of deletes cards. It deals with them efficiently so that you don't have to trade.
Yeah, like card seems excellent. Being brandable is important because like that's a very, very strong effect to brand. And usually you don't actually have that many of them. I think brand is kind of people just throw in decks because they like it a lot. But most of the time it's like, brand, Astalor, fingers crossed, hope for the best. So having like another pair was really great. But yeah, I mean, like Demon Hunter is going to be like that Hunter style, more aggressive Highlander deck. And this is really, really strong disruption. It's probably like the strongest disruption against aggro that we've ever had. The ability to potentially delete like 2-3 cards out of hand is really nice. And just generally like Highlander mirrors and those type of matchups, or even against the very, very, very solitaire decks. Like obviously against Rommath this doesn't do a ton, but picture this against Tony Druid. Like this would be an incredible card against like Tony Druid. So it's definitely going to have spots where it's very, very useful and can probably single-handedly decide matchups. So really busted card. Really, really like it. Don't think Highlander Demon Hunter's there, but I mean, we'll see. Highlander Hunters. Huh?
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
That's a very good step in that direction. Like this card is, like you guys have mentioned, very strong. So, but yeah, kind of just recap on the Demon Hunter class real quick because I know we got 1 out of 7 classes down. How are we feeling about the Demon Hunter side? Excited about any of it outside of the duplicate legendary or the Reno legendary? Sorry.
Nah. Mostly just the Kurtrus.
Yeah, the Highlander card's cool. The Naga card is long-term interesting, but nothing in the short term. Yeah.
I do want to shout out Bartendo Bada as well because I feel like that will actually see play in Wild for at least a little bit. People will mess with that and the legendary. I mean, 2 playable cards. Like I feel like I can't really give it a thumbs down because that's more than some of these classes might have. But I think just generally as a whole, not something that I'm super excited about long term. All right, let's move to Druid. So the big thing for Druid in this expansion are dragon supports. And so, of course, we're going to start with the 2 non-dragon cards to kind of get them out of the way and talk about them real quick. And so Rehydrate, it's a 2 mana nature spell, restores 7 health. quick draw, refresh 2 mana crystals. So the potential to just be a 0 mana draw 7, or heal 7 rather. God, 0 mana draw 7. Oops. But
well, it is a druid card, so you never know.
yeah, I was fair enough. But it does say restore health rather than gaining armor, and druid is a class that gains a lot of armor, so they don't really tend to take a whole lot of damage. So I don't think this card's gonna see a whole lot of play. But we got Cactus Construct. So this is a 1 mana nature spell. Discover a 2-cost minion. Summon a 1/2 copy of it. I think this card's pretty sweet. It's stats, bodies, all that kind of good stuff. I know aggro druid's not really a thing. But I'm thinking about this card in something like, I know it's not a very good deck, but that spell token deck for druid, where you kind of want to play a whole lot of spells for something like Glowfly. What's it called? Glowfly Swarm. This card seems really good in that style of deck. I don't know if
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but do we need to add that to the list of decks that?
Oh man, don't do that to me. No, you're not. Look, you're not wrong, but I do think this card is it's strong.
I think it's fine. I think it is a perfectly fine standard card.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even like it in like the really tokeny.
Really?
I mean, like I kind of see it as like an aggro card that you play for the Naga, like the nature Naga payoff, and that's pretty much it.
All right, whatever. I'll continue to cope on the token decks in my spare time. I won't try to spend time to convince you guys. All right, let's talk about the exciting stuff. Let's talk about dragons. So let's just save the splashy legendaries, the big payoffs, where we're going to talk about them a lot for the end. So let's start with Dragon Tales. Love the name. 2 mana spell. Choose one. Get 2 random dragons that cost 5 or less, or get 2 random dragons that cost more than 5. Random dragons in wild. No? No.
Like, this might be one where, because the 5 or less pool is more narrow, you would be tempted to go for that, but then they're still just very bad.
Yeah. I mean, if you're guaranteed 2 Bright Wings, maybe I'll be interested. All right, let's talk about Spliss. So I can't even say it. Splish, Splash, Whelp. Jesus. 2 mana, 2/1 dragon. Battlecry. If you're holding a dragon, gain an empty mana crystal. So we've already kind of seen this card in Breath of Dreams, but now we get it attached to a 2/1 body that also happens to be a dragon.
It doesn't cycle, though, so it's
so much worse. You're not wrong.
I mean, it ramps. It ramps in Druid. Always worth considering. You're going to need some draw to offset that. Which, I mean, the Breath of Dreams helps with, I guess, and so do all of the other Druid cards.
Yeah, I mean, the card's great. It's a wild growth with dragon tag. It's goddamn excellent. I love this card. I love dragons.
We have 4
I'll
of those
say
now.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love dragon cards in general, so I'm very happy that we're going back into this. Always a favorite of mine.
Yeah. All right. Look, now that you have the ramp, you need the card draw, like Roffle mentioned. So let's start with Take to the Skies. 3 mana spell. Draw 2 dragons. Give them +1/+1. 3 mana. It's like Sense Demons, but you get a buff.
Yeah, and dragons that you put in your deck on purpose, good. Dragons that you discover out of thin air, bad. So, like I said, you needed to offset some of the early, minion from Splish Splash Whelp with some draw. This could be a targeted draw. Like, there's some high value dragons you might be running in your Dragon Druid deck.
Yeah, I'm kind of higher on this card now that I'm looking at it a bit more than I was previously. And I think it's just because of another card that we have coming up, the 4-drop, that makes it a lot more acceptable. Because, like, I don't know, 3 mana draw 2 is like pretty bad.
By Druid
it doesn't. Yeah, and it doesn't curve super great with all your 2 mana wild growths. Unless you're on the coin, in which case, yeah, it's not too bad. So I don't know. I'm a little higher on it now than I was yesterday.
All right, let's talk about these 2 4-mana dragons that we have. I'm just going to kind of talk about them together because I feel like they're both probably going to go in the same deck. We have Desert Nest Matron, which is a 4-mana 3/5 dragon with Taunt. Battlecry. If you're holding a dragon, refresh 4 mana crystals. 0 mana 3/5 with Taunt Baby. And then we also have Spinetail Drake, 4 mana 5/4 dragon. Battlecry, if you're holding a dragon, deal 5 damage to an enemy minion. Gosh, I wish that was face, but I'm assuming, you know, you got all these 2 mana wild growths. These are some nice 4 mana minions that you're ramping into for that curve.
I'm skeptical of the refreshing mana crystals, even though it's for free. Like, you still need stuff to do alongside it, right? I don't know. Blackwing Corruptor was in the Twist set, and it was buffed to deal 5, and that's a lot of damage, but not being able to go face is also a big hindrance. I'm not super high on either of these. I know Corb was looking at one of the 4 drops, so maybe I'm wrong, but...
Corruptor's not a dragon. I'm just going to put that out there. It's also 5
I know.
mana.
I think if I'm leaning towards one, it's the Spinetail Drake, just because, like, I don't know, you don't really want to get behind, but, like, not many decks really are... How many decks are playing for board right now? Like, that this would help with? That you need to deal 5 specifically to? That you can't deal with, like, a Scale of Venexia or a Flipper Friends later?
Yeah, I'm also, like, not high on the Spinetail Drake, the deal damage. If it could go face, I'd be much more excited. Yeah. But I mean, there's probably a very good reason why it doesn't go face.
Yes.
But I am excited about the other 4 drop, the Desert Nest Matron, the 4 mana 3/5. Or 0 drop. Yeah, 0 mana. No, I think this card's excellent. Like, this is the reason why I was kind of like a little bit higher on Take the Skies, because, you know, you kind of really get to mitigate some of that tempo loss. I think this is one of the best dragons, along with the 2 drop, the legendary, and Onyxia. So I can definitely see this being played for sure. It has some cute, adorable little synergy with Bran, where you could Bran and play this and kind of like go back up to full mana, and then you could like a Nubricon and then do the Astlor stuff. So like, this stuff you can do like that is sort of a makeshift lasher. But yeah, I really like this card a lot. So I think you'll play a small selection of good dragons, and I think this is one of the best dragons in our format.
Yeah. Or alternatively, we can play a whole bunch of dragons to enable our new card here in Dragon Golem, which is a 7 mana 3/4 dragon with taunt that says Battlecry, summon a copy of this for each dragon in your hand. So obviously we play like 25 dragons, so this is insta board.
You could do that, but that would not be a strong thing to do. I think Corb's definitely right in that you probably want a very narrow range of dragons, especially if you're considering 1 or 2 copies of Take to the Skies. You want to make sure that you're hitting the minions that you specifically want to, not a Dragon Golem.
Yeah, I mean, there is kind of like the old standard deck that was like Embiggen Dragon Druid that was around that played like strength in numbers. I think like I think there's a ramp Druid Dragon Shell that you could play in sort of like your traditional Astlor OTK type style deck. But there is also just like Embiggen minion pile thing, which could be something fun that people look at. Embiggen obviously works very well with Dragon Golem. Excellent synergy there, being able to copy up. Strength in numbers works really well with Desert Nest Matron because you do actually spend the mana before you get it back. So it's kind of like a nice way to accelerate that side quest. So yeah, I think that could be like a fun deck that people could look at. That's kind of like that spiteful summoner type thing where it's kind of just a minion pile. But yeah, I mean, I think there's some really natural synergy there. Even with like some of the late game legendary that again scales very well with Embiggen. So just putting that one out there if people want to experiment and stuff.
We are also
important note, real quick. Important note. Do not play your Spiteful Summoner in the same deck that you're playing Strength in Numbers.
No.
Yeah, just making sure. Just making sure.
Also worth noting that like we are living in a post-Flurgle Talks world, right? So like this type of 1 card board is maybe a little bit less or more likely to stick around than it used to.
All right, let's move on to the 2 legendaries for this set. Both of them dragons. Let's talk about Phi, the Setting Sun. 9 mana, 4/12 dragon. Rush, Lifesteal, Taunt. Cost 1 less for each dragon you summon this game. Summon being the operative word there. So even if you're not playing like 12 dragons in your deck, you are probably playing Scale of Onyxia, which discounts this by 7 on its own. Or you're playing Raid Boss Onyxia, which discounts it by 7 on its own. 0 mana, 4/12s with Rush, Life Steal, and Taunt. Seems pretty good.
Yeah. I think you just want to play this as quickly as possible, and then I don't think you're ever upset about it. A lot of what Dragon Druid has excelled at in the past is being kind of a tokeny deck, and this plays really well into that. Just with like Onyxia, with like composting type shenanigans into volcanic lumber and that type of thing. Like this plays perfectly into that strategy.
This is the wild synergy that, you know, we're not meant to have cards like this pair together, but we do. We have Scale of Onyxia, and it's awesome, and it's going to be broken, and this card is kind of maybe like the superstar of the set. Like, it's an incredible synergy that we have available to us for Druid here.
Yeah, super good card. All right, the other legendary dragon is Rhea Straza. 8 mana, 8/8 dragon. Battle Cry. If your deck has no duplicates, summon the Purified Dragon Nest. And for those of you guys that don't know everything, Purified Dragon Nest is a uninteractable thing on the board, so very much like another portal from Sargeras or the Quest, that sort of thing. That reads, at the start of your turn, discover a dragon. It costs 4 less. I mean, free infinity value in your Reno Druid deck. That being said, this is also just probably good enough in Reno Druid. Just lots of stats. You'll never lose the late game, which Reno Druid never really had a problem with anyways, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to a Gary in that not only it takes up a slot on board, but like just gives you infinite late game value. Because like at this stage in the game, what is mana for Druid? So like they can afford to just plop whatever they get into play. I don't think it'll be good, not like the Fi, the Setting Sun, but I think it'll be fun, and I think it'll give people a reason to play Reno Druid again, which sure people were probably looking for.
I think it's probably a situation where I think people probably underestimate how strong the payoff is. Like, I think people get the idea of like why playing an 8/8 no impact on the board is a bit scary and why you probably die. But like that nest is kind of insane. Like you're gonna be like picking from 3/4 discount. Like it's crazy the turns that you're gonna be able to pull off with this. So I don't know, like, yes, it's not very much a wild card because it's an incredible late game value bomb in a format that doesn't value late game value bombs, but I don't know, it's sick. Like, sure, if you want to grind out Reno Priest and make them cry, then it seems like a really, really good option to do that.
I do love the sound of that. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, we were talking about Bran earlier, just Bran and Elise, and then Reyes. Ooh, that's gonna be hot. I don't know how you're gonna have board space for all that. I don't know how you're gonna play all your dragons when you don't have any board slots because you summoned a bunch of these nests, but infinite dragons. All right. So with all of these dragons, how are we feeling about the comeback of Ramp Druid in Wild? You know, we got a new wild growth. We got some nice payoffs. We got some nice 0 mana 4/6s with taunt because we're gonna draw them with our take the skies. Is this the comeback of Ramp Druid in Wild? No Twig and Sphere, but we do have dragons.
I think it'll definitely see a resurgence in some capacity. I don't know if it'll be necessarily a top tier deck, but I think it could easily be like a mid tier viable deck that can get you some wins in Hearthstone.
Yeah, I'm quite high on the Dragon Druid cards, for sure. You know, just like plopping it down into that volcanic lumber package that Roffle talked about, or even, you know, I'm open to experimenting with them in Questline Druid. Like you can kind of cut some stuff and find some room for some dragon cards, and I think, you know, Breath of Dreams and the Whelp, Fi, like I don't know, these are very, very powerful cards in general, and because they're not like a huge package. You know, I'm thinking of that like hybrid questline, just to clarify, where you'd play that still same ramp, Bran, Astlor, win condition. But yeah, it could be a really good fit for that deck as well.
something lures all the late game you could ever need. All right, let's move into Hunter here. So Hunter getting some kind of beast hunter support, as well as getting some more of the attack matters for your minions on board. Kind of building off of their last set. Let's start with Sneaky Snakes. 1 mana, summon 2 1/1 snakes with stealth. So this is like Alley Cat's number 5 and 6 for a Hunter. That being said, it is a spell, so it doesn't do the whole discount thing. But I mean, 1 mana make 2 1/1s.
I mean, they have stealth. They're really good.
Yeah.
Like, it's better than, yeah. It's really
still-
important against things like pirates, right? Like, takes away the fillet fighter, takes away plun, takes away dagger, like, lets you actually make trades.
Yeah, and still allows you to draw off of the buzzo. So, like, yeah, good card. Add it to your deck.
Yep, good card. Messenger Buzzard, 2 mana 1/2 beast. Death Rattle, draw a beast. Give minions in your hand +1/+1. Okay, so it's slow. It is Death Rattle, but it's potentially a lot of stats because you are buffing the thing that you draw as well. But it's slow. It is a Death Rattle.
Yeah, it is quite slow, but
It's pretty good, isn't it? Like it's better than Grime Street. Like,
Is it better than Grime Street? Like, yeah, it draws you a
I think
card,
so.
but it's a Death Rattle.
it's like
Or what if they just ignore it?
it's a banana man.
Yeah.
But on a death rattle instead of battle cry.
That's pretty good, I think, for 2
It
mana.
is. It is. But like the death rattle is so rough. Like, we've seen death rattles that like are better, just strictly better than their battlecry counterparts, not see nearly as much play just because death rattle is so inconsistent and unreliable. Like, it's coming out early enough that it's more likely to die and get value like on your turn 3, so it's like it's kind of just like a banana man. I don't know. I think this is one where it looks good, and I think it's going to underperform once we actually get our hands on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. Because Death Rattle is horrific. I don't know. I still think I'm high enough on it. Like, the awkward tension though is that, like, if you're playing this, you want it in a deck that's very, very minion dense, obviously. And it's like, how do you turn the buzzard into a threat where it must get killed off the board? And it's like, if you're not playing a ton of spells, right? So it's like crackling. Razormaw is like maybe how you like buff this, give it attack, make it actually threatening, they have to kill it. But other than that, you don't really have a ton of options. So I do see where you guys are coming from for sure.
Yeah, I'm just imagining you like play this on turn 2, and then your opponent doesn't let you kill it for like 2 more turns, and then you play it at 2 mana 1/2. So yeah, I don't know how often that's gonna happen in current Wild, but
yeah. I think I'm high on it. I think it's all right in Beast Hunter for sure.
All right, look, this is how we make it a threat. We play 10-Gallon Hat, which is our next card here, that says draw a minion, give it +1/+1, and Death Rattle, get a 10-Gallon Hat. So you play that's on 2, and then you get a 2/3 Buzzard. Ooh, that surely ends it. But 10-Gallon Hat reminds me a lot of Explorer's Hat, or maybe I think more akin to something like Hand of a Doll. Right, 2 mana draw spell, get a little bit of a buff. That being said, you're not putting it on board. It is, I think, the big thing. So I think that itself is a big knock against it, as much flavor as it has,
Yeah. No, I don't think that this is. I don't think this is a Hand of a Doll because it doesn't like give you immediate tempo.
Maybe more Infinity Novice Engineers.
Right. Yeah. It's the delayed aspect of it is what makes it so much worse than any of those other cards. Unfortunately, it's a cool card, but
Yeah, I want to make it 0 mana somehow, but I don't think there's a way to do that.
We're a Sork Apprentice and Hunter, right? That's what you're asking.
Yeah,
right.
unlucky.
Next up, we have Bovine Skeleton, 3 mana, 3/3 undead beast. Death Rattle. If this has 4 or more attack, summon a Bovine Skeleton. So you 10-Gallon Hat it, you Messenger Buzzard it, you play all the synergy that we got from the last expansion on the Bovine Skeleton. It's Infinity Bovine Skeletons, guys.
no, you do none of those things because it's a bovine skeleton.
He makes a good point.
I don't know how I'm supposed to argue with that. We've got Saddle Up, 3 mana spell. Give your minions death rattle. Summon a random beast that cost 3 less. 3 or less, sorry. But this is a what is the druid spell? Soul of the Forest?
Soul of the Forest.
3 mana, give your minions death rattle, summon a treant. This is the hunter version of that. But sometimes you high roll and hit Acid Mod Dreadscale.
Yeah, I think this is like a legitimately high quality card. I just don't know if it has a home in Wild specifically. I would say be on the lookout for this maybe in Standard. Like this seems like, especially with the sneaky snakes, like this seems like it has some potential. Am I crazy?
No, I agree. The sneaky snakes. That's funny. That's like I'm having a harder time saying that than Meowth was having with the what is it, Splish Splash Whelp. But yeah, that works so well. Like that's such natural synergy. Like you don't have to hit that. You don't have to high roll that hard for this to be like a positive tempo play. Especially with those like stealth 1/1s. So I don't know. It's pretty good. Like it's better than Soul of the Forest, and that's
how much better than Soul of the Forest though? Because when was the last time that you've ever seen a Soul of the Forest in a wild deck?
I mean, you're the token druid expert. You
and
tell me.
I've never, right? Like I haven't wanted to play Soul of the Forest in a long time. So like, how much better? I don't disagree with you that it's better than Soul of the Forest, but like,
yeah,
it's not a very high bar because Soul of the Forest is not a good card.
Yeah,
so
I don't think it'll see playing wild. But it's a good card.
So for the purpose of our wild podcast, though, is it a good card?
No. No. Well, probably not. Like, but I'm looking at it, right? I'm not dismissing it. Is the thing.
I'm messing with you. I do agree with the point that you made though of like this seems like it's going to be a very good card in the standard version of this deck, with specifically the Sneaky Snakes synergy that you mentioned. Okay, we have Silver Serpent, 3 mana, 2/3 beast with rush and poisonous. Quick draw, gain immune this turn. 3 mana assassinate, but if you draw it on turn 3, it sticks around. It's not really an assassinate. I don't know why I said that. 3 mana. Is this card worth talking about outside of like a Rexar Hero power pool or your Saddle Up pool?
No, but quick draw does work with Rexar, and so that's useful information for the quick draw. But no, you don't put this card in your deck on purpose.
Yeah, no, thank you.
All right, mounts are back. We have Camouflage Mount, 4 mana spell. Give a minion +3/+3 and a random bonus effect. When it dies, summon a chameleon. So for the bonus effects, they're basically just random keywords, right? So or like relevant keywords. So you can have like poisonous, you could have taunt, like all of the effect keywords. And then the chameleon, so for those of you guys that aren't familiar with the mounts from, I don't even know what expansion the mounts came in. But basically, when the minion dies, you will summon a 3/3 chameleon that has the same bonus effect of whatever the random one that you gave the minion is. Ramming Mount sees a little bit of play in some Reno Hunter list because of the Cotobane synergy, but it also works nicely with stuff like Crab Rider. Does that make you guys interested at all in a 4 mana version of this with a bonus effect that you can't control?
No, especially the bonus effect that you can't control. If it was no.
I mean, I don't know. Like I'm looking at it and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about Blessing of Kings, and I'm like, it's 1/1 stat less. You get a bonus effect, and then you get a 3/3 with a bonus effect. Like it's better than Blessing of Kings. So maybe in that like Crab Rider Face Hunter type deck, is this not terrible?
I mean, so same question that I had with Soul of the Forest. When was the last time you saw a Blessing of Kings? Because like we have the 3 mana version that's like 3 mana in Paladin that doesn't see any play.
Okay, what about what if I say Ramming Mount instead?
I feel like Ramming Mount's better because it curves with your Crab Rider.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And
I don't
allows
know.
a Crab Rider to pave the way for more Crab Rider by like bashing off minions.
I don't know.
Alternatively,
I don't.
you could give your Crab Rider Wind Fury with Camouflage Mount, and that might actually end it.
Uh, I don't know. I actually kind of think it's really, really good. Like I think this is quite strong. So I would probably play this in like Highlander Hunter. I think as well.
You don't even draw it off the Barret Codobane.
All right, I'm
Part
not
of
a.
this
Yeah.
coping here. I feel
All
like.
right, all right. Okay, I'll let it sit. Maybe my mood will change in a day or two. You know, it's already changed with a few cards, but I don't know. I kind of like this.
Yeah, you guys have to let us know down in the comments how you guys feel about Camouflage Mount. Meanwhile, let's talk about Quest Hunter support. The thing that we were all asking for. We have Star Shooter, 4 mana, 2/3. After your hero attacks, get an arcane shot. Dude, that's infinite value, infinite quest progression.
I see what we're doing here. Yes. This is definitely Questline Hunter support. If you're a Questline Hunter main, add this card to your deck. It's very good for you.
I mean, it is. Like, I think it is. Is it not?
I don't know. I don't think that this is the card that turns the deck around.
Oh no, that part I agree
Nothing's
with.
turning that deck around. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw some comments where it's like, oh my god, more Questline Hunter support. I'm like, what game are you guys playing? Like, that
Dude,
deck is
anytime
so
they
dead.
print a damage spell, freaking Questline Hunter support. How could they? How dare they?
Yeah, we saw it with Celestial Shot, and
Yeah.
I think this is more like just Arcane Hunter support is really what it's targeting. This is so slow for a wild Questline Hunter deck too, though. Like, you have Furious Howl.
I mean, I think I would rather be playing this than Furious Howl. I think. Is that too crazy? Like, I think this card's so good for Questline Hunter. I just think Questline Hunter is irrelevant, basically. So yeah, it is really nice arcane support. Like the thing about Quest Hunter, like Quest Hunter does actually really struggle these days to actually get enough damage spells because they've nerfed the quest so goddamn harshly. And this is like, this is like a 3-in-1, so that's like really, really good. But would you ever play as an even hunter? How much damage does this help push? Is this ever like efficient enough damage?
Deals
12 damage for 7 mana. It helps fill out your curve, which is not irrelevant.
Yeah, it's like 12 damage off one card.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot.
In a deck that doesn't have a ton of card draw. Okay, I'm kind of feeling it. The deck already has 3 weapons right now, though, because if they're on the bow and the rifle,
It's
so,
a matter of whether you cut the bow for this, which the bow deals 10 damage for 0 mana.
he makes a good point.
And then on top of that, you're also probably just running the Titan in that deck as well, so then you get more weapons.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is Arcane Hunter, and I think it's seeing play nowhere else because I don't even think I want this in Reno Hunter. Questline Hunter is not a relevant deck. I guess Arcane Hunter is technically a Questline deck, I would assume, in Wild. Not really sure, but
I don't think it's a deck in Wild. I think it's...
Yeah. I think we're talking way too long about this card that it's not going to move the needle on any deck. So let's move on. We've already talked about the Reno Hunter card, so let's talk about Spurfang, which is a 5-mana, 2/5 beast. Battlecry and Death Rattle, summon a random beast with cost equal to this minion's attack. So, of course, you're wanting to buff it with all the buff support in Hunter. But, I mean, just baseline, it's a 5-mana, 2/5 that summons a random 2 cost, and Death Rattle summons a random 2 cost, which is a decent amount of stats. And then any amounts of buffs, relevant, right? It's going to make this card exponentially better. It is random beast rather than random minion, which makes it, I think, a little bit better in your deck because I'm assuming there's going to be some beast support as well. How are we feeling about Spurfang?
I think it's another like decently high quality card. Just that because you have to build around it, or it wants to be built around. There isn't a deck right now that could exist while building around this. So you really I think your evaluation of it as a vanilla card is appropriate because that's you're not going to build around this card because the payoff is probably too small. But like, it's a good quality card. It's just I don't think that it I don't think it has a worthwhile home, I don't think it's worth building around in our format, especially.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're making this a 9 attack minion, or oh, wait, the cost equal? Yeah, that's the one. I mean, does it even? What even are the odds on a King Crush? Either way, whatever. That's not my problem to think about.
You don't even have to get it to 9. You just have to get it to 6, and then just summon Dread with both the Battlecry and the Death Rattle, because we know that card's busted.
Oh, and or Mukla, dude, is 6-drop random beast the end?
Wait,
does that end it?
The nuts?
The nuts?
There's also the other Mukla that is a 5/5, not a 10/10.
Yeah, that's right. But all of those ones, all the other 3 cost beasts that you're competing with, kind of trash. All right.
No, I was talking about the 6 cost Mukla. There's 3.
Oh, there's another dude, the forgettable Mukla, the one that only gives you the bananas.
Yeah.
All right, for Hunter, anything you guys think is going to see play outside of, like, we have the Reno Hunter card that's just good. Sneaky Snakes seems just good. Buzzard kind of and then according to Corb, Saddle Up kind of in Wild.
Yeah, I think they got 2 quality cards and a few others that are just probably close, and then will be toyed with, fall out of favor over time, and unless they get more support down the line.
I think it got 5 cards that I can look at and think, yeah, that's pretty decent. That's a good option. So that's pretty good.
Potentially playable, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the exact opposite of potentially playable, and that is the entire Mage set here, because, God, what are these cards, man? What are these?
Yeah, I mean, it was when I was like talking about how Demon Hunter and Death Knight are kind of the ones that it's hard to get excited for. Mage is another class where it's just as pigeonholed as those two. Like, it's just as limited. We're doing one thing and one thing only, and I don't even want to do that thing. I don't want to do the thing that it can only do.
I don't want a Quest Mage. Give me anything else. All right. So Mage is another class that can do excavate things. So I'm just going to kind of lump all the... We're going to go through this class, I think, really fast because all of these cards kind of suck. If that's okay with you guys. I'm going to just lump things together. We have Crier Preservation. 2 mana Frost Spell, freeze an enemy, excavate a treasure. So we are evaluating excavating a treasure at 2 mana. This is kind of proof of that for future reference.
But there's already a 2 mana minion that excavates and gets, like, no.
I'm just... Crier Preservation, okay? We're going to run through all of these. You have Reliquary Researcher, which is the battle cry if you've excavated twice, cast 2 random Mage Secrets. Random Mage Secrets are bad, guys. This is not a payoff that you want. And then last episode we talked about Blast Mage Miner, 6 mana 4/4, battle cry, excavate a treasure for each card in your hand. Deal 1 damage to a random enemy. Blech. While we're here, let's talk about the Mage Excavate legendary payoff. Is a 4 mana 5/5 elemental beast. Battle cry, get a random titan. It costs 1 mana.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever want to excavate in Mage?
No. Okay. Because no.
I think that's a really good summary. These cards suck.
And then even then the payoff is like, I don't know. Sometimes you get an Agrimar and you're not in a position where that's helpful.
I don't want to talk down the payoff. I mean,
the payoff's good.
Yeah.
The cards you have to play to get there, not good.
Yeah, like it's not worth the effort by any means.
I would agree. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about elemental support. Elemental Mage. Woo! Overflow Surger. 4 mana 3/2 elemental. Battle cry. Summon a copy of this for each turn in a row you've played in elemental. So a reminder, all of these cards that we're seeing here are so weird. So many of the elemental payoffs require you to play elementals multiple turns in a row. And so, like, remember when we had the whole downside of elementals of, man, if you miss 1 turn, your top deck elementals suck. If you miss 1 turn, all of your new elemental payoffs are unplayable. They're so bad.
If you miss 1 turn, the rest of your game is
over.
Just over. Yeah. They found a way to make the least fun part of elementals even less fun. At least that's my experience. Like, there is nothing that, like, I don't enjoy playing elementals specifically because of the last turn thing. It's the same reason I didn't particularly like some of the undead payoffs in March of the Lich King, because it's like that was even more convoluted. It's like, and this just,
Yeah,
and this card's terrible anyway.
yeah, it creates incredibly like inflexible decisions on each turn. You have very little wiggle room, and I don't know. The fact that they've actually extended the requirement is just so funny. like you have to play Curbstone Arena cards, the whole game, and like it's elemental on one, elemental on two. It's kind of ridiculous. These cards suck.
Let's talk about a secret that sucks. Azurite Vein, 3 mana spell, secret, obviously. When an enemy plays a card on the turn that it entered their hand, get a copy that costs 0. I feel like we've had a similar conversation every time, but I'm going to redo this. Dex and Wild, generally super synergistic. Getting a random card from your opponent, even if it costs 0, not really going to do you a whole lot of good, because it's not going to be synergistic with your game plan. I don't know how much that's changed, in y'all's opinion, post-patch, because we don't really have time to talk about the new meta, but I don't know.
I'm going to be honest, this is maybe my second favorite Mage card of this set.
Oh.
Explicitly for the reason that it gets people to ask in one card the same question they ask, or the 2 questions they ask about any Mage card that ever exists. Do I play this in Quest Mage? The answer is no. And do I play this in Secret Mage? The answer is God, no. Like, this card's terrible. But, like, it still has the potential to get that question, or both of those questions, from the same card. I don't think that's ever been done before.
I love it.
It's, like, truly a card meant for wild players to then ignore after, like, never trying it.
Yeah. And we shall ignore it. This will be the last time that we talk about this card ever.
It'll be the last time anyone talks about
somehow,
the card.
And then boom.
No.
I'm going to just read this card and then we can move on to the next one. We have Sunset Volley. 10 mana. Fire spell. 10 mana. To deal 10 damage. Randomly split among all enemies. Summon a random 10 cost minion. All right.
I'm going to go ahead and say this is actually the second... or the second most excited I am.
Every Mage card is the second favorite, except for the one that's your favorite, right?
Right. No, this one is the legitimate one, because this one, like, you just replace Drakefire Amulet in your big spell mage. Like, yeah, that's not a deck, but like people will play this on purpose, and then you repeat it off of Varden. Like, I think this is an actual card, whereas the other ones are not.
Do you actually play it on Drakefire Amulet?
Amulet? Yeah, because you repeat it for you want a very narrow range of specific spells. Or spell types for your Magister Dawn Grasp. And so this is nutty.
Spell school?
Amulet has a fire spell. So that was your big spell for fire. This is now replaces that. It does the same thing but better. And it's really nutty off of Arden. So like this is legitimately a card. It's just not a good one and not a good, or it's a good one. It's a good card in a bad archetype.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, Drakefire has tradable, which I think does make a key difference for a lot of those payout, like the 4-drop get armor and stuff. Like, there's some good payoffs you get for that. But I would agree, like, this card is very good if you pay, like, 5 mana for it, which, like, Mage has ways of doing that. It's just a bit convoluted.
Bright-Eyed Scout got buffed.
Bright-Eyed Scout got buffed. There you go. Yeah, I mean, if you squint and you kind of look at it, it's like, it's a Relicologist, but 10 mana. But sometimes not 10 mana.
Right, it's maybe a Relicologist on a 10-drop.
Well,
those are
the
like
4/6
the
is the
like
the 4/6 is the 4/6 and 10-drop. They're probably like close.
Don't worry about that.
All right. Next up, we have Heatwave, 2 mana fire spell. Deal 2 damage to an enemy minion and its neighbors. So that seems like kind of okay on its own. However, if you quick draw it, you deal 2 damage to all enemies instead. 2 mana consecration seems pretty nutty. I think this card is like the one playable Mage card in this set.
Yeah, this is another actual card. You just you don't ever add it to your deck. You just generate it off of your Quest Mage discovers, and then your opponent gets mad because it's really good. When you pay it for 0 mana, or play it for 0 mana off of a Vast Wisdom.
Oh, I'm
Hot.
already just so tilted. Like it's gonna get played for like 0 mana against my pirate rogue, and they're gonna rewind back into it, and it's gonna be quick draw again. Oh, it's a disaster. I already get so tilted when they generate fire sale. This is so much worse for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, very very good card to generate. Maybe at the point where you put it in your deck as well, but it seems like a decent card, at least wild-ish power level. A card that might be interesting in terms of deck building, you have Stargazing, 2 mana arcane spell. Draw a different arcane spell. If you play it this turn, it cast twice. I think the Quest Mages thankfully play a lot of arcane spells, so I don't know how good this is in Quest Mage, but if there's a different arcane spell out there in the universe where you can build a deck where there's Stargazing and one other arcane spell, potentially got got yourself a nice dish that you're cooking.
You know what an arcane spell is?
I swear if you say Luna's Pocket Galaxy.
I was just trying to speed run this. the end of the discussion about this card. Because yes, it's Luna's Pocket Galaxy every time.
Oh, Corb's cooking. Hold on.
I think the one actual thing you could try and do with this would be conjure Mana Biscuit. Like if it was just this and Mana Biscuit is like the only arcane spells in some sort of combo mage, then it gives you a lot of mana for like turn 5, but
Ignite Mage.
yep. I mean,
I hate that we let Corb cook. Oh god.
I mean, it'll suck. Don't get me wrong. But
what if it doesn't, and you've put this out in the universe, and it's all your fault?
Then Mage
Would
will have
be
a
entirely
different
your fault.
deck than Quest Mage, and I will be just
Yeah, because
over the
Ignite Mage
moon.
is so much better. Hold on.
That's not a deck. That's an
It
abomination.
is. I would rather play against Ignite Mage than Quest Mage.
Oh, those are
100
cursed
times
words.
out of 100.
Those are-
100.
Those are cursed words, dog. All right, let's wrap things up with the Mage Legendary here. Oh God, how do you pronounce this? Tathalon Bloodwatcher. 4
Nailed
mana
it.
2/5. Cards that didn't start in your deck cost 4 less, but
Ignite Mage. Sorry.
not less than 1.
Okay, I've actually changed my mind. I thought this was on a battle cry. It's no longer my favorite card in the set. Sunset Volley, my new best friend. Like, this card sucks, man. Like,
It's rough out here. it's rough being a Mage player. I
Poor
mean,
Mage, dude.
this set sucks for Mage, man. At least in our format, I don't know. Maybe Excavate can hard carry in standard, but no, that's not. I don't think Excavate is going to do too much in any class in Wild, just because of the inherent slow developing nature of it.
yeah, this is rough. I think Mage, this expansion for Mage is probably going to be picking up Greedy Partner from the neutral pile, putting it in Quest Mage, and then calling it a day. And that'll be the expansion.
Yeah, and then reading what the new secret does for when you randomly generate it in Secret Mage somehow.
Yeah. That's it.
Yep. Poor Mage players. How many sets is this now in a row? Is Mage the new Warrior?
I don't know, man. It's been like 2 years, I swear to God, of just like half the time it's just cringe. There was that Nathria set where we got like Sanctum and Cold Case, and those were kind of like cool cards. But apart from that, it's been a rough time.
Yeah. All right. R.I.P. Mage. All right, let's talk about some rogue cards. Rogue, another class that does the excavate thing. So we're gonna kind of lump these together. So we have Bloodrock Company Shovel, 1 mana, 1/3, Death Rattle, excavate a treasure. It's a Death Rattle, which sucks. Rather than Battle Cry. I mean, it's a 1 mana weapon, but also
Right.
Death Rattle. We have Antique Flinger, 4 mana, 5/4, Battle Cry. If you've excavated twice, destroy an enemy minion. So a 4 mana 5/4 Vile Spine Slayer. But the super sweet thing is the legendary Drilly the Kid, 4 mana 4/3 mech, Battle Cry, Quick Draw, and Death Rattle. Excavate a treasure. So Battle Cry synergy, Death Rattle synergy. So if you bounce this with a Shadow Step, you get to repeat both the Battle Cry and the Quick Draw, which is kind of sweet. so you can excavate super quickly. Also, we have a new card from the Caverns of Time that might synergize with that whole mech tag thing in Timeline Accelerator. So if this is your only mech, you can just draw yourself a 2-mana version of this on demand. Yeah, Drilly the Kid, I think, is the one that we should talk about here, but we can kind of lump things together with the whole excavate discussion. Are you guys excited to excavate in Rogue?
A little bit more excited than some of the other classes. I still think just like, again, the nature of excavate is going to be rough in wild, but like you have some efficiency in Rogue. In particular, you can shadow step the Drilly the Kid, so that still gives him his like quick draw the second time you play him. So that's always something to consider. I think the shovel is just like not a high mana investment at least, but I don't think the Antique Flinger is a terribly useful payoff. Like, so that is the bummer card in these three, I think.
Yeah. Like I don't know, just like value rogue stuff in general. Is always very underwhelming when it comes to wild. Like we obviously just want to be pushing our curve as low as possible and doing those kinds of things. So I don't really buy into the excavate in the in Rogue, and I also don't think the payoff is that suited. Like the legendary payoff compared to what some of the other classes got, compared to like the Mage payoff, compared to the Warlock payoff. This one feels even less suited to wild, I would say, but I don't know. I might be just underestimating what kind of tempo swing the Scorpion can make and how fast that can come down. But like 8 times excavating is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think I read the big legendary payoff here, so let me do that real quick for people. 4 mana 5/5 elemental beast, battlecry, get 4 random spells. So if you've excavated 4 times, you get this. You get 4 random spells. That is not a good payoff. However, the second time you get this, so once you've excavated 8 times, those 4 random spells cost 0 mana, which is infinitely less mana than actually having to spend mana. So, yeah, just to put that into context. But that is you have to go through it twice, which is a lot harder than going through it once. Maybe
It's
maybe
that
twice
shadow
as hard.
step tax. It's absolutely the shadow step tax for like the little, the lackey rat, whatever it's called, the kobold miner. That's the one.
Yeah.
Something Shadow Step causing problems yet again, right?
Stop that.
But yeah, so I think I'd be interested in playing Drilly the Kid kind of on its own, just with synergies with like Shadow Steps and Tenwus and stuff, and like the whole timeline accelerator synergy there. But yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, the Antique Flinger, I know you guys were kind of not super high on it, but it seems better than some of the other payoffs, which is maybe not the
That's
highest
fair.
bar, but
Better than 2 random Mage secrets.
all right. So we don't have the other rogue legendary to talk about, but we have Wishing Well, which is an epic minion that will generate you infinite legendaries instead. Wishing Well, 5 mana 0/7. After you play a coin, get a random legendary minion from another class and set its cost to 1. So, the whole thing in Rogue with, Shadow Steps and Mailbox Answer and the infinite number of cards that generate coins these days, turn them into random legendary minions that cost you 1 mana that you can immediately play on the board because you played a coin to get the mana. I don't think I've seen confirmation, but I'm assuming, like, Gallywix coins and counterfeit coins count for Wishing Well. I'm hoping. But yeah, it's kind of cute.
Yeah, it's a fun card. I don't think it'll be terribly good.
Yeah,
For
hence the cute.
like, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it is cute.
All right.
I mean,
what a
yeah.
perfect description. Yeah. All right, let's talk about Stick Up. 1 mana spell. Discover a quick draw card from another class. Nope. All right, cool. Dart Throw. 2 mana spell. Throw 2 damage darts at random enemy minions. If both hit the same minion, get a coin so that you can use it with your Wishing Well. I mean, that's 2 mana deal 4. So that's a little cleave.
It's a decent card. Yeah. I don't know. Is that good enough for Miracle Rogue? Probably not, because you can't reliably get the coin off of it enough for that to matter. But like, I don't know. It's a fine card.
It is very good. A lot of time with serrated. I will throw that out there because you can probably either, you have a board where you can just play the dart throw, or maybe serrated lets you guarantee the dart throw. So I think that's like one thing to mention, but apart from that, I don't know. Wild boards do be going wide when they're aggro.
When they have minions early in the game, they do tend to be a bunch of X1s. So
a bunch of stuff
pirates.
all at once. Yeah, so that does kind of suck a little bit. But I mean, I'm open to it. The serrated synergy, getting coins is good. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe I don't know what Reno rogues are looking like, but maybe a fine card there if you need early game removal. But we're talking about Reno rogues. Let's talk about the next card instead, and that is Bounty Wrangler. 3 mana, 3/4, quick draw or combo. Unfortunately, not both. Get a coin. I'm glad that they made this 3 mana so that you can do the whole Shadow Step thing like you do with Mailbox Answer.
So it's not and, right? So like if you draw it and you coin it out, you don't get 2 coins.
Yeah, the way that I'm reading it, it's only 1 coin.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Get out of my game. No, it's like no.
I mean, 3/4
Smelly.
3/4 body is so much better than 3/2 body, right?
It's smelly.
Totally worth the
It
one
doesn't
extra mana.
doesn't get 2 coins.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Okay, Shell Game, 3 mana spell. Get a random epic, rare, and common card from other classes. I think this might be the first time we've seen something like this. Makes me not want to talk about it anymore, though. So.
How much does did they buff Burgle to 2? Did I imagine that?
No,
They
it's
buffed
3.
Burgle to 3 cards rather than 2.
So it's just Burgle.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was Burgle. What if Burgle was 2 mana? Would that be so crazy?
If it was still 2 mana with
Having
2,
having
No,
played
it's great.
Burgle recently after the buff, no, it wouldn't be crazy. It would be a fine
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
all right, our last card that we're going to talk about with Rogue here is what is it? 4 mana 2/2 Rogue card. I don't even know the name of the card. Support, the one that makes you cast a spell for free.
I want to say Trickster or something. That's
Swift
not right.
Scale Trickster. I was just playing it today, actually.
Let's go. I won the
Roffle doing
Jeopardy
his
round.
homework to prepare for today's episode because he knew that we were going to talk about this card. And that card is 7/7s. 7 mana spell, deal 7 damage to a minion, draw 7 cards. Guys, that's a lot of cards.
Yeesh.
That is a lot of cards. But it's also a lot of mana.
It's 0 mana with that 4 mana 2/2.
True.
No, that's 4 mana, which is still too much mana. Like,
We're talking about Rogue here. It has 0 mana draw a card like on repeat.
4 mana, draw 7. 4 mana 2/2, draw 7, deal 7 to a minion.
I mean, it's pretty good. Like, I know we're memeing, but that's like not the worst Hearthstone card in existence.
No.
Low key.
That's like a UI, dude. Except it doesn't hit face, but that's fine.
It's like a UI, but you don't get the armor, and you get a smaller body, and it can't go face. And you're playing Rogue, so like you're playing Gear Shift and Secret Passage because those are much better options. Like no chance, no chance.
You have to.
It's crazy though. Like even with the Trickster, like even if you imagine the world with the Trickster, it doesn't actually
always
seem
had
that
it.
Well, the
impressive.
problem is that like you have to build your entire deck around a 2-card combo and hitting it early enough, and then you actually still have to do something. Whereas like why Miracle Rogue works and why Dex and Wild in general work is because they have again that critical mass of synergistic mechanics. You're just playing 2 cards, so that's 4 out of your 30 cards have this one niche interaction. The rest of your cards like need to progress towards something.
Yeah, I mean, let's say you're playing. You have 6. You're playing jackpots, assuming, right? Yeah, totally. I don't know.
Actually,
But Corb makes a good point there. Like, even if you always had it just on curve every game, is a 4 mana 2/2 draw 7 like? I don't wanna say even that good.
It's good.
Okay.
No, it's
It's
good.
not crazy in terms of everything else Rogue is doing, which is wild, right? Like that's insane.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you can coin out or prep serrated the Trickster, I mean, You can go on fishing for one of the pieces. You can gear shift. You can coin out the trickster. I don't know.
Cor's
Like,
being talked into it by himself.
yeah, I am. I'm making the arguments to myself. I mean, it does say draw 7. Like, that's a lot of draw.
It is a lot of draw.
I don't
But
know.
you know what
but
else?
I mean,
You know what Rogue doesn't struggle with?
draw.
Draw.
I mean, let me phrase it like this: if it was that broken, would we see it in standard right now?
Is Trickster legal still?
Yeah.
Would they willingly, knowingly print this card with Trickster being in that format if it was that good?
I mean,
Yeah.
wait, let me. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they've done it before. They did it with Smokescreen, and that was pretty
Right.
busted. But
I mean,
yeah.
Smokescreen is a lot more situational of a card than
Yeah.
this one. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Rogue can just play such cheap stuff that it kind of make it. It's hard to see like exactly how this would work and where it would fit in.
All right. So I know we still have another legendary from Rogue that hasn't been revealed yet, but the rest of the Rogue set kind of seems not good, at least in terms of wild. So
I mean, it's not as bad as Mage, at least.
I mean, okay, with Mage,
Nothing.
at least I could say like there's like a card that could see play in like Heatwave, maybe. Can I Drilly the Kid? Maybe.
Okay, maybe.
Oh,
maybe.
maybe Dart Throw.
Yeah, I was thinking Dart Throw is kind of on par with, or is close to on par with Heatwave.
The set actually, this might be a little bit of a dumb comparison. It kind of reminds me of like Galakron Rogue stuff, where you're getting these like lackeys instead. You're getting treasures, and then the actual legendary payoff is actually kind of Galakron-y a little bit, where instead of getting minions from your deck, you're getting random spells. Like, it's probably quite similar, coming down a sort of similar turn as well. So yeah, but like Galakron isn't a wild thing.
Yeah.
So not a thing you want to be
Current
doing.
at least, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We're comparing it to the Mage class though, so I think not super high hopes. I think is the TLDR for that. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some good stuff though. You guys ready to talk about Shaman? Some of these Shaman cards got me excited. So
Did they? Did they? Okay, go on.
Okay. Look, have you seen what I've been playing on stream recently? There's at least one of these that got me a little bit excited.
All right.
Come on.
You cook. You continue.
Oh, I mean, look, we can just start with it. I've been playing a lot of big decks on stream because I am the villain now in Wild, and that is who I have become and what I enjoy playing. And we got ourselves a nice little perfect card there in Walking Mountain, which is a 9-mana, 4/16 elemental with Rush, Lifesteal, and Mega Wind Fury. Ignore the whole Overload 2 thing because you're never playing it. But
unplayable in Big Shaman.
No way. You think so? Even if you're playing Thunderbringer?
It's so bad of Muckmorpher. It's horrible.
I mean, even if you hit it off a Muckmorpher, it's still a 4-mana 4/4 with Mega Wind Fury against control decks. And then it is a 4-mana 4/4 that kills like 3 pirates and gains you 12 life. Like, I know that's like the low roll, but like even then, like it's fine.
Compared to Glug, Thunderbringer, Neptulon.
Which are like the Giga High rolls, sure. I am not arguing that like Muckmorpher's the low roll. But even then, like, is it even that bad?
Chattius? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this one. Maybe? Like, maybe I'm overestimating how bad the Muckmorpher roll is, but like the Muckmorpher roll is so bad.
The Muckmorpher roll is the reason why Walking Fountain got cut for so long. And like you play Muckmorpher in that deck because of the synergy with the weapon, because that's what allows you to get online consistently early. And so this is really, I'm not as low on it as Corb is, but like I don't think this is the card that brings back that deck, because like we've been in this situation before and it's like, oh, Walking Fountain kind of bad. And
but Walking Fountain with Mega Wind Fury.
I
But
came
it
in a
doesn't
little
provide
hot.
the-
I came in a little hot just to for Meowth purposes. But yeah.
I think the card is really good. Like I don't disagree. Like compared to everything else that the deck plays.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is your worst minion in the deck.
I don't know if it's in the
I don't know.
deck.
I'm playing Yogg in my big shaman, so I don't know that it's the worst minion in my deck, but
Below Yogg it would be the worst minion in your deck.
I would rather play Yogg.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Mega Wind Fury.
It Mega Wind Fury doesn't matter if you pull it off a Muck Morpher and it just dies to the board.
But then you're still gaining 12 life. Like in the situation where you're
How do you gain
where they have a
12?
board that it's dying to, you're still gaining like 1 billion life.
No, it
How?
takes two. It dies
It's
to
a
2 hits.
4/4.
The things that are gonna have the board, they're playing pirates. You're gonna at least be able to trade into 2 or 3 things. You're still gaining infinity life.
What if they have just like a 5/5?
What deck plays a 5/5, Corb?
Lothar?
That's not Lothar.
Secret Mage.
Secret Mage also
what
has
if
like
the-
2/3s though. that you
What
at
if,
least
what,
get
if,
to
what
trade.
if the priest? What if the priest has their 0 mana 4/6 taunt?
Fuck, you're right. Don't harsh my mellow, all right? Walking Fountain. I like this card. I hate you, Corb. I hate you just a little bit.
I think it's like the 3rd best Shaman card of the set. So
Jesus.
So that's cool, at least.
All right. Walking Mountain is an elemental. I think we should talk about some of the other elemental synergistic cards here.
Get them out of the way.
Let's start with the legendary. The huge payoff for Shaman for playing elementals. Are you guys ready? It's Skarr the Catastrophe. What a name! Majestic name for a majestic minion. 7 mana 7/7 elemental. Battle cry. Deal 1 damage to all enemies. Improved by each turn in a row that you've played an elemental. You miss 1 turn. This thing is a 7 mana 7/7 deal 1.
Just don't miss.
Yeah.
I think the card is disgustingly powerful in the deck that it goes in. But the problem is that deck is horrific. But like if you're just playing on curve, like Firefly on 1, and then I play my 3/2 on 2, and then I play my Overload 4/5 on 3, and you just like keep going up the line, like it's sick. It's disgusting.
And
But
then
it's an
you
arena
miss on
deck.
turn 6, and then you lose the game.
No. You don't. You literally don't miss because you play literally nothing but elementals in your deck. Like I'm dead serious.
God,
You
that deck
just
sounds
play only.
horrendous.
Like you just play Granite, Forgeborn, and all the premium elementals, and it's like fine. Like you're
Do you have
playing
enough premium
elite-
elementals?
You do. Like you have good cards. Like they're not bad. Like we're talking about things like the buff Sentinel, like 5 mana 4/4 get 2/2/3s with taunt. Like that's not bad. Like Fire Elemental, Blaze Caller, Granite Forgeborn, Arid, the 4/5 Rush. Like you have good cards. It's just not a game plan conducive to Wild Hearthstone.
Right. That's exactly what I landed on as well with it. Like, and it also, on top of that, just is I don't know, for me at least, would be a very frustrating deck to try and play because of that requirement of the elemental chain and the fact that you're just, dumping minions on curve every turn.
Yeah,
The
I
definition of
would
a
play
curve state.
like it would be 30 elementals in the deck.
Yes.
Like
That's what it
100%.
has to be.
Excuse me, 28, because we have Trusty Companion that we'll talk about later. So
No.
you don't even want to
No.
play that card?
No, I play 30
way.
elementals. No,
Like,
you
it
don't have a
guarantees
single
elementals.
time. You don't have a
No.
single moment to play not elemental minion.
Right.
And
If you don't, right. Trusty Companion loses you the chain if you don't happen to have a minion on board to cast
Just
it.
draw the 1-drop. It's so simple. Wow. Okay, if it doesn't fit Trusty Companion, I don't want to play elementals. I don't care. I'm gonna lump the 2 other elemental cards together. You have Minecraft Cruiser, which is the 3 mana 4/5 that Corb was talking about. With Rush, 3 mana 4/5 with Rush. Battle Cry, if you played an elemental last turn, don't overload 2. And then you have Living Prairie, 5 mana 5/4 elemental. Battle Cry, if you played an elemental last turn, summon 2 3/3 cows with Rush. Sure.
Again, these are good cards. Like
They're great
they're
cards.
great. They're awesome. The game plan just won't work probably. But like I don't know. It might be better than people think. I like these are giga premium.
What
Like-
happens? Hold on.
The fact that we do have like Kindling and Firefly. Firefly is huge for this deck, I think. because it
Yeah.
allows you to ensure 1 and 2.
You play a Firefly on turn 1, and then your opponent plays a Fillet Fighter with a Brigand and attaches, and then you lose.
Yeah, no, I know it's a bad. Again, it's a bad deck. Nobody's disputing that.
Yeah,
I just don't even know that they're high quality cards. Is the argument that I'm like. You play a Firefly, and your opponent plays 4 minions on turn 1, and then you lose the game.
It's specifically the early game. It's specifically the early game and matching up into other aggro decks. Because your mid game with things like Prairie and Minecraft Cruiser, which is what I'm going to call it, and like Fire Ellie Blaze Court, like your mid game tempo swings and pressure is excellent. It's just like I play a 1/2 on turn 1, and yeah, my opponent plays.
And that's your best
10,
play on turn 1, by the way.
And yeah, your opponent plays 10 power, and it's just like, oh, I see.
Yeah. All right. Maybe.
But like, it might be like a Reno Priest killer type thing. Like you know, be able to beat up druids. Ramp druid probably has a pretty rough time against it. Just like each fatty once per turn. Like I don't know. Like it probably won't be that bad. We've had Galakron Shaman be good in like 2 years ago. But,
I mean, Galakron Shaman was different though, because it was like Shudderwalk Shaman, but with Galakron instead of other stuff.
They played a lot of elemental stuff. Like it played.
Corb,
like
I took this whole
Storm.
you dissing Walking Mountain very personally. I'm over elementals, dude. There's two.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm sorry.
I mean, look, you're probably right, but like I said, I took it personally when you dissed the one elemental I was excited about, and so now I don't want to talk about these ever again. All right, so those were all the elementals. We talked about trusting companions. So let's touch on that next. 2 mana spell, give a minion +2/+3. It's a lot of stats. If it has a minion type, draw 1 of that type. So you're saying like you don't even play this in your elemental deck, but you know this card would probably go really well in the other tribal deck in Shaman, and that is even Shaman with totems. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, it has that card in Nightmare Amalgam. It runs it, but this is just better because it draws the card from your deck, not a randomly generated one. Like this is just better Nightmare Amalgam, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't go as wide. It doesn't discount the Giga Totem or the thing from below like an Amalgam does,
Right.
but it has charge damage, and you draw, like you said, is better. So I think it's about equal, but Amalgam is good, so we play it.
Would you play 4 of them? You're not cutting them, are you?
Yeah, I'd play another Amalgam for sure.
Play like 8 of them.
Yeah, like we have some room. We're still. I think this will make it 28 good cards. I think it's just I think there's 1 card off at this point.
Getting there.
Just what we needed. Even Shaman to keep getting better. Hell yeah.
No.
I mean, it's funny because all the bots aren't gonna pick it up for another 6 months, so you know it's fine.
Look, as soon as they knock off Jolly Roger and Pirate Rogue off their list, they'll be cruising with the Even Shaman.
They have recently added Ancient Totem to the bot list, so we're making progress. It took a while, but we're making progress. All right, let's talk about Amphibious Elixir. 2 mana nature spell, restore 5 health. It says restore 5 health. I'm assuming that's to like anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it can be minions. Nature tag, plus you get to discover a spell. Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Renew, but bad.
Yeah.
2 mana. That's twice the amount of mana. Cactus Cutter. 2 mana, 2/2 Murlock. Battlecry, draw a spell. If you cast it this turn, gain +1/+2 and taunt. Battlecry, draw a spell. It's like Primal Dungeoneer-ish. Very, very ish. Upside, this has the Murlock tag. In Murlock Shaman, you use this to draw your nothing or your everything is awesome. And then this becomes a 3/4 with taunt because you're also playing the buff spell on top of that. Like, the buff spells are the best cards in the Murlock Shaman deck, so does the comeback of another tribal Shaman deck?
Probably not, but like this card is probably good in that deck for that exact. You pretty much said exactly what I was thinking when I saw this card. But like Murlock Shaman has bigger problems than drawing the buff spells.
Yeah, I don't think it's great. Like I think I wouldn't run nothing. I think I would make this purely an everything card, but I don't even. Yeah, I don't even know if that. I don't know. I've heard some people toss the idea around of playing this in Even Shaman. I think it's actually really bad in Even Shaman, but I just thought I'd just touch on that because other people disagree.
Oh,
so.
Because you hit the 0 mana spells and then.
Yeah.
Are people not playing Totally Totems, Sidetrack on Even Shaman with? I know we're talking about new cards. Let's talk about old stuff. Totally Totems and Even Shaman seems good, right?
I haven't seen it.
People aren't playing it. I think it's very good. So like I think you make it when you have overload cards, you cut the crackle and whatever.
Yeah, I mean it just doesn't work well with this Cactus Cutter as well. So just that's why I brought it up. But yeah, Dehydrate, 3 mana spell, no tag on it, so it's just a 3 mana lifesteal. Deal 4 damage to a minion. Quick draw, cost 1. So I think Tidal Surge is one of the most changed cards in Hearthstone history as well. Weird card to have that many changes, but that can also deal face. So for the trade-off of not being able, it can't even hit face. All right, God, this is just power crept Tidal Surge. Because it can
Tidal Surge deals 5 now.
Yeah.
Bro, did they make another change that I didn't know about in Caverns of Time?
Yeah, for Caverns.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? I'm not even going to cut this bit. Dehydrate compared to Tidal Surge. Yay or nay?
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think so.
It's a better card when you top deck it, but nobody's playing Tidal Surge, so what does it matter?
Yeah. And the Skype removal can be a little situational, so I don't know. I don't know. It's a good card if you top deck it. I mean, it's a quick draw card. It's a good card if you top deck it. That's like the entire sum up of the expansion.
Oh, yo, Primal. I would say you could Primal Dungeoneer into this, and it'd be sweet. But then it doesn't even have the nature tags. You can't consistently.
Ah, damn it! I got excited for a second. I was like, oh, that sounds sick. Let's do that. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, not a nature spell, unfortunately. All right. Speaking of, this is a nature spell. You have Giant Tumbleweed with 3 exclamation points. Hard to get excited about this card though, so I'm not gonna yell it. 7 mana spell, deal 6 damage to all minions. Summon a 6/6 Tumbleweed. I mean, removal with a body seems like those cards are not bad. 7 mana cards though, sometimes bad. Is this card one of those that is bad?
Yes.
Yeah, it's expensive. I mean, it's good. It's like harmonic. It's like a better priest harmonic spell. Like it's a good removal cut for sure.
I think it's a very good removal spell. It's also 7 mana.
Yeah. It does cost 7 mana, doesn't it? I mean, when he plays in Highlander Shaman, Roffle's shaking his head. I'm thinking maybe. I'm comparing it to the priest dragon. The Highlander dragon, the 7 mana 6/6 discover a dragon, deal AoE to all minions. So it's the same body.
You put it like that,
you don't get a dragon. It's not that bad for a class like Shaman. It doesn't have otherwise good clears necessarily.
But Reno Shaman has Lightning Storm. You probably are still playing Flurgle Talks because it is.
And then what else?
And then you have buffed
Devolve.
Volcano. You have buff Volcano.
Oh no, buff Volcano. What is buff Volcano? Volcano got buffed?
That is a card that it only overloads you 1 now instead of 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'd rather play this. This is a bigger tempo swing. You get the 6/6.
No, I agree. When you compare it to Volcano as your 3rd best removal spell, then all of a sudden this looks a lot better, right, for your Reno Shaman. Yeah. And people are going to play Reno Shaman because they already do. Plus, it's got a Highlander payoff card that we're about to talk about. So I can see it. Yeah. Okay.
Ruffle really disagrees. Just making a face.
If you need board clears in Wild, turn 7 is not the time for it.
We don't play Psychic Scream anymore in this format.
That's what I was going to bring up. There's a reason we don't play Psychic Scream as well, and it's because it's simply too slow.
That is so...
Yeah.
That is the best possible 7 mana removal spell you could ask for, and it is unplayable.
That's fair. Yeah.
Imagine going back in time 4 years and telling people that Psychic Scream will not be changed, and that card will be unplayable. That is the times that we live in.
That's wild. Haha.
Haha. All right. Anyways, with that, let's talk about the new card. Dr. Holiday. Reno Shaman payoff. 5 mana 4/5 battle cry. If your deck has no duplicates, equip the Staff of 9 Frogs. So the Staff of 9 Frogs is a weapon, 2 mana, or not 2 mana, 2 attack, 9 durability. After your hero attacks, summon a 1/1 frog with taunt. Each frog is bigger than the last. So your first swing summons a 1/1, your second swing summons a 2/2. I've seen some discussion out there that people think this card is not bad. Please tell me that they are crazy and that this card is good, because I think this card is very good for Reno Shaman.
Well, yeah, no, I'm confused by the way you stated that, but yeah, no, this card's good.
People out there say this card sucks. I think this card is really good. Please tell me that I am right and they are wrong.
Okay. I have not heard anyone, well, I'm sure there are people that have said it's bad, but like, it's Dramicus, but without having to press the button. Like, at 5 mana.
That it is literally infinite tempo. Not literally infinite, but it's like actually infinite tempo, because the game is going longer than
it's an absurd card. The only concern that I do have for it is the psychopaths that are still running Sticky Finger in their deck, and like it's just gonna make me rage quit. But like the card is absurdly good.
It's very, very strong. I like it a lot. So yeah. I mean, if you want to, I mean, there's kind of some cute synergy stuff with the Wind Fury cards that you have, because like they accelerate the frog basically. So like whether you're playing the new Brukan, not Brukan, the new Alakir, give it Wind Fury. That's kind of neat. Or you could play it with Inara. Like Inara is not a terrible card by itself and helps accelerate, but I don't know, just by itself, like without even jumping through hoops, this card's really, really good.
Never mind. I've changed my opinion. I think this card sucks because Roffle brought up the whole Sticky Finger thing, and I know there are people out there still playing Sticky Fingers, and when your opponent steals this and hits you with it, and you'll realize how busted it is, but then they have it and you don't, and then you're going to hate it. So, yeah.
It's actually so good.
It is so good.
So, I think it is important to note, because in Reno Shaman, you're going to have the ability to like bounce this and replay it. Your new weapons will restart at 1. They're specific to the weapons. They're not gonna. You cannot go past like a 9/9 frog.
It's not a Jade situation. It's an internal count, not an external one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. That being said, Shaman set. You guys depressed me a little bit about Walking Mountain, but in general, the set I think is a lot better than some of the other classes that we've talked about. Cough, cough, mage, cough, cough, rogue. So
yeah, it got some pretty quality cards for sure.
Decent. It's okay. I hope the elemental stuff is better than I'm expecting. Hopefully.
All right. Last but not least, let's talk about some Warlock cards. Let's talk about Fracken. The card it is. 1 mana spell. Look at the bottom 3 cards of your deck. Draw 1, destroy the others. So before I guess we should start talking about these, Warlock has I don't want to say parasitic mechanic, but it's got a mechanic unique to this expansion, related to Barrels of Sludge. And so Barrels of Sludge are these spells that get added to your hand or shuffled into your deck at specific places, that say when this is played, discarded, or destroyed, deal 3 damage to the lowest health enemy. And so with fracking, what you're doing is you're gonna potentially put Barrels of Sludge on the bottom of your deck, and then you can do this, where you'll look at the bottom 3, draw the good card, destroy your Barrels of Sludge, which will pew do damage. And so for 1 mana, I know it requires a bunch of other support pieces. Seems pretty good though, like upside of potentially dealing 6 damage.
It's also just 1 mana, draw 1.
Because destroying is irrelevant in 99% of your matchups, right?
Right. So. Yeah, like especially from the bottom of your deck, it's meaningless. But the bottom of the deck is the same as the top of your deck unless you're dredging or doing deck manipulation, so it doesn't really matter. That said, Warlock doesn't have a problem with drawing, so like outside of this very specific thing, I'm not sure that that's a thing it wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing, just like get through the deck stuff, right, like with Bristleback and stuff like that.
Deck thinning is the reason to do it.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Like, it's pretty good for that purpose. Very, very efficient. So I like it. Yeah. I love alllll of Fire, except one-sided, but I get a card.
Right. I mean, it's better than Altar of Fire for that reason, because you get a card.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to lump the next 2 minions together here because they are both Barrel of Sludge support pieces. So we have Disposal Assistant, 2 mana, 3/2, Battlecry, and Death Rattle. Put a Barrel of Sludge on the bottom of your deck. And then we have Sludge on Wheels, 3 mana, 1/5 with Rush. Whenever this takes damage, get a Barrel of Sludge, and add one to the bottom of your deck. So it adds one of those 2 mana spells to your hand and on the bottom. Barrels of Sludge. Woo. I mean, if you're doing stuff that I think this is probably going to be a standard deck more than anything else. But yeah. Popgar the Putrid. 4 mana legendary. Your fell spells cost 1 less, so it's a 4 mana 2/6 minion. Your fell spells cost 1 less, so your Barrels of Sludge are also fell spells. They cost 1 less and have lifesteal, so when you deal the damage with your barrels, you gain life as well. Battlecry, get 2 Barrels of Sludge. If we ignore all of the other stuff and we just look at that first line, your fell spells cost 1 less. How interesting is that? You can see the smoke coming out of my co-host ears as they think about that.
Not good. I mean,
Yeah.
fell spells are kind of, there's not really a lot you can do with them.
No.
Okay, so Popgar very much limited to the Barrel of Sludge deck. Then is what I'm.
And even then, like, you can't even play the Barrels of Sludge immediately that you get from hand because they cost 1 mana still, even with the reduction.
Just make 2 of them.
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of like thinking about like if you play Popgar in like a Reno deck, right? And you basically just make it a turn 6 play, like 4 mana, 6 mana, 2/6, deal 3 twice, heal 6.
I guess that's better than Drathier, and people used to play that.
That seems pretty alright. I think you could play this in a Reno deck for sure.
Is Reno Warlock the new hand buff paladin and Reno Mage?
No. It's the old one.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do we think there's any nutty OTK you'll be able to do with this? With like
That's why I asked you about that first line. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't think of anything at least. So.
I don't know. I think it's just a standalone good thing, and like you put in standalone good cards in like Reno Lock, and then you lose games.
Yeah, nice. Love that. Get at us down in the comments if there's a combo with Popgar that we're missing here. Last but not least for this whole sludge stuff, we have Waste Remover. 4 mana 7/7 demon with downside. At the end of your turn, destroy the bottom 3 cards of your deck. We are past the point where a 4 mana 7/7 is good. So
Yeah, well past it.
yeah. But what if your 4 mana 7/7 also randomly dealt 3 damage or potentially drew you cards? Still no?
How's it
Yeah.
drawing cards?
With the next card that we're about to talk about. Getting ahead of myself.
That's not terrible. Like if I don't know, you play Disposal Assistant on 2, and then you play the location that makes a rush copy of a minion on 3, and then you play this on 4, and then that's pretty good.
Sounds like
in
a
standard.
nutty standard deck.
Yeah, really good in standard.
Yep. Okay. All right, let's talk about the kind of interesting destroy kind of card here, though, which is Furnace Fuel. 4 mana fire spell. Whenever this is played, discarded, or destroyed, draw 2 cards. Corb has a question.
Oh, is there any even lock payoffs that like get a lot better without cards in your deck? Because like if you just play this on curve and even lock, maybe
6/6 Baron Scavenger.
Oh, Scavenger. Huh. I was just thinking about like Waste Remover in that deck as well. But,
Because
I don't know, maybe-
honestly, I like Scavenger and Even Lock already just because of the aggressive tapping that you're doing. So
I don't know. I
it's
just
a
thought I'd
bit,
throw it
yeah,
out
no,
there.
that's a big number. Like 7/7 is the kind of card that an Even Lock wants.
Yeah.
Spending 4 mana on it.
Yeah.
You spend 4 mana on 8/8s all the time.
You're spending 4 mana. I'm spending 3 mana, dog, or 0.
And if the Waste Remover sticks for 1 turn, like 6 cards, like your Scavenger is going to be active bloody quick. So I don't know.
All right. Let's circle back to Furnace Fuel, though. 4 mana fire spell. Whenever this is played, discarded, or destroyed, draw 2 cards. Kind of seems like Candy Gul'dan-esque, right? Because you could discard it, but you could also blow it up with all the other cards that we've talked about. Alternatively, like you could play it, but yeah.
Does Mill count as destroyed?
No, I don't think so. I would guess not.
Okay.
Like you
What are
mean
you
overdraw?
cooking? What, mill
Well,
warlock?
I was thinking if you just like intentionally milled, like I don't know, just wondering. I was thinking even luck, and you just kept 10 cards, and then you just milled it, and then just like kept digging through. To be honest, but yeah.
I don't know. Are we excited
Anyway.
about Furnace Fuel though? You
Oh
discard
yeah,
support.
sorry. I feel like I just like killed the momentum on this. This card's awesome. Like I love this
Twice,
card.
bro.
I think this card's so sick. Like I absolutely love it with fracking, in those like fatigue style questline decks. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, that's why I don't love the card.
Yeah.
All right. Nothing to add because I'm in the same boat as Roffle here. So
Really? I think
as
this
in like
card's
I
really
don't
interesting.
want to think about fatigue questline warlock, and so I don't want to.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
You're on
That's
your
fair
own
enough.
here, dude. You've been alone on this podcast about questline warlock for like 3 years at this point. It's all you, bro.
Okay. I'll play it.
I know you will. I don't. It'll probably be fine. I don't want to think about it though. I don't want to talk about it. All right. Let's talk about excavating though. Warlock, another excavate class. You've got smokestack. Deal 1 damage to a minion. If it dies, excavate a treasure. So Mortal Coil, but excavate instead of draw. You have Moarg Drill Fist, 4 mana, 4/5 mech demon taunt death rattle, excavate a treasure. And then your big payoff is a legendary this time. Tram Conductor Gary, 7 mana, 4/4 Battlecry. If you've excavated twice, summon 6 3/3 tram cards with rush. So very Soulmaster Solia, I think is her name, from Demon Hunter back in the day. Do we know what? Oh, the legendary is the excavate legendary payoff is the something snake. It's like a 5/5. Can't find it on the legendary. I'll look for it, but it's
It
a 5/5.
steals 10 health from the opponent, or
Deals 10 health and gains you 10 health. I guess that is the stealing part. But that basically means that your opponent, like if they play a Reno, only heals back up to 20 because it caps their health at 20, caps yours at 40 and or 45. But yeah, are we excavating in Warlock? We haven't been excavating in any class so far. Is Warlock the exception?
I think Warlock does have some wild potential. I don't think it'll be as good as like other things that you can do in Warlock, but like you can copy the smokestack with the 1 mana minion and get a lot of additional copies of smokestack and just kind of rely on that, hitting your tour guides, kobolds, and whatever the fell copier is to excavate reliably. I think Jerry is one of the better payoffs for excavating multiple times, even if he's at 7 mana. That's probably too much for a wild deck, but it's a strong standard card. The one card I'm not super high on is the Drill Fist, just because it, again, death rattle. But like you can use the I don't know, the Cable Rat, the Kobold Miner, and that has 1 health, so you can play that, excavate, kill it with the smokestack as well. Raise dead, repeat. So you can rush down that treasure really quickly, and then you can do silly things like play it into Zola and then Bran it the next time, and the opponent just kind of dies without being able to heal through the damage. And the fact that it's like the fact that it gets you to a win condition that closes out the game or has the potential to close out the game makes it a lot more appealing in a format like Wild than some of the other like value generating like payoff cards or like legendary treasures that you get. So for that reason, it's probably the most, for all of those reasons, really, it's probably the most hopeful in terms of being able to be a deck in the format. Now, all that said, I don't think it'll be super strong. I would hope not, because that's an incredibly toxic combo, but it's playable.
Yeah, I really had a good look at what we could do with this, because like the payoff is insane. And we also get some like the fact that we do have like Grave Defiler with Smokestack is obviously, again, like I kind of mentioned it at the very top of the show with like Scale and the Legendary Dragon and Druid. Like that is a synergy that is not meant to exist. You're not meant to be able to play Grave Defiler with Smokescreen and get like very, very cheap, more excavated treasures. So, like, if you can get up to that 4 and get that legendary treasure, that's awesome. You can preload discounting on it with something like Kindling Elemental. Like, that's kind of something cute that you could do to try and set up that, like, Bran payoff combo. The problem is, that's only 20 damage, and most Hearthstone decks play with 30. So it's like, where does the extra damage come from? How can you cheaply, consistently, quickly get a second copy of the legendary payoff? Like Raise Dead is a good one, but like how consistent is that? And so there's issues. Like there's a lot of awkwardness I found when trying to build the deck, but very, very interesting for sure, mostly because of that Grave Defiler Smokestack synergy specifically.
All right. So it seems like you guys are kind of confident in that this is like the one excavate set that'll have potential in Wild. So
I think maybe Death Knight is the second closest, and that's that's not looking
so
good.
just Warlock. Yeah.
Well, just because you have the recurring value off of a minion, and that's something. But yeah, just Warlock.
Just Warlock.
Yeah, I think Warlock. If it, because the problem with the other ones is that they're more like value piles, where this is more like there's a real path for it to be a very good combo deck potentially.
There's a win con baked into it rather than just piles of cards.
Yeah, you don't have to go hunting for anything.
Yep. All right. Warlock set as a whole, right? It sounds like we're higher on the excavate stuff, like I just mentioned. Seems like the sludge stuff doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world. I mean, Pop Guard's okay. Furnace Fuel seems okay.
I think most of the sludge stuff is probably not going to make it in Wild.
Yeah, but it seems like Pop Guard's just a good enough card, maybe, from the discussion we were having.
I'm not convinced.
Yeah, I'm not like super into it. I mean, like I think it'll be probably fine in Reno Lock, but yeah, like nothing special.
Everything's fine in Reno Lock because
except Reno Lock. Yeah, I don't know. The Warlock set.
The deck's fine. Okay, come on.
The Warlock set is also kind of just fine, much like Reno Lock. It's whatever. I mean, Furnace Fuel, I think, is going to be one of the cards that may feature in the, our predictions and wrap-ups podcast. Not to give too much away, but I think I'm very high on that card. But apart from that, I don't know. It's one of the more interesting sets, I think.
All right. Just to kind of recap, I think Druid is the class that at least I'm the most excited about of all the 7 classes that we talked about today. Seems like it's the one that has some actual real wild potential in driving or reviving, some archetypes. So kind of excited about that. I think at least each class has, maybe Mage is the exception here, has at least one card that is interesting / going to see some okay, Mage and Rogue. Sorry, we're just gonna go there. Okay. Oh, well, Demon Hunter has a card, at least 2 cards. Druid, we talked about Druid. Hunter has the legendary.
You're being very optimistic here, or generous in terms of what you're calling cards. I think Curtis is probably fine, but like the deck isn't.
Curtis is gonna see play, and Bartendo Pot's gonna be seeing play in Questline.
Okay, yeah.
Druid is Druid. Hunter has the Reno Hunter legendary, which I think is good, and Sneaky Snakes, which is like a playable card. Am I wrong in that?
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair synopsis.
Mage is Mage. We've talked about Mage at the time. Mage is Mage. Rogue is Rogue? ? We haven't seen the last Rogue legendary, so I'll pause on that maybe just a little bit. And then Shaman. Like, elementals aside, Trusting Companion, even Shaman, Walking Mountain, and the Reno Shaman. And then we just talked about some Warlock cards. So just okay. Mage. Just Mage.
All right, just Mage.
Oh.
We'll see where the other classes. We'll see where the other classes land once we get more of the stuff out.
Yeah. Well, we're missing how many classes at this point?
2? Paladin, Warrior, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. We did the bulk. This was the card review episode of the set. 2 hours, 7 classes. Got through a bunch.
Yeah,
Did it.
and for me, that was after a 5-hour stream. So
Oh, Roffle.
yeah,
Get that nap
it's
in.
been a long day.
No.
I'm so sorry. All right, I think we should not keep Roffle here any longer than we need to. So let's wrap things up. Man, you would think the way that I'm speaking that I did the 5-hour stream. Jeez, guys, thanks for joining me. Thanks to everybody that listened all the way to the end of the massive card review episode. I appreciate you guys for doing this with me. Thanks. Let the people know where they can find you guys and your content for the new stuff that's coming in 2-ish weeks.
Yeah, you can find me hopefully not streaming for 5 straight hours, unless it's like a reveal or release date, at Twitch and YouTube, at Roffle. Both places streaming simultaneously.
And you can find more longer of my content at twitch.tv/Corbett or Corbettgames on YouTube and Twitter.
Yeah, you guys also find Roffle at BlizzCon because he's going to be there this weekend, right?
Yeah.
So go find Roffle. Hang out with him and take pics and all that stuff.
Yeah, it may be, for a brief period on Saturday, it may be very easy to find me.
Ooh, interesting.
Announcement pending.
Spoilers. All right. I hopefully that doesn't get taken away from you now that you've spoiled it on the podcast. Jeez. Yeah. Corb and I will be back this weekend to review the last 2 classes while Roffle is out there partying at BlizzCon. So, we'll keep that content coming, but we're not going to go any further. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed the card review episode. Let us know down in the comments what you guys are excited about, and we'll see you guys again next time. Later.